Hey, what's up everybody? Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome back to MX Simulator Track Walk. It has been a minute since we've done a track walk video, but there's been some pretty damn cool tracks in MX Simulator that have come out this year, and I haven't really been able to get around to all of them over on my Kellen SYS YouTube channel, so I wanted to bring some track walk videos back to the main channel to share off some really cool tracks that I feel like deserve attention. And this one is one of the newer ones that I've seen lately that came across the forums that looks really fun. Played it for about 10-15 minutes before I started recording, and I absolutely think it deserves a little bit of recognition. This is the 2024 Star Racing Yamaha Birmingham SMX Test Track, basically I think is what it's supposed to be called, by Timor331, I think it is on the forums. And it's essentially, Star had a Birmingham replica test track on their facility, or I think they did at least, that they used to practice for Supercross this year. And every facility has tracks like that, where it's a replica of some kind of track that they're going to be end up racing. And now that SMX season is upon us, it's the first round of SMX this coming weekend in Charlotte. A lot of these guys are going to start changing up the tracks just a little bit and adding some elements to the tracks and stuff like that to get proper testing in, because they need to test for Supercross stuff, but they also need to have some outdoor sections to be able to be ready to go when the outdoor stuff, you know, gets presented on these tracks, because SMX is a mix of both. It is a lot of Supercrossy elements, particularly this first round in Charlotte's going to be pretty Supercrossy again. Some high-speed straightaways, but for the most part, a lot of like rhythm sections and bowl corners and stuff like that. But there's a mix. There's supposed to be some outdoor rollers and big doubles and stuff that you need a little bit different suspension settings to hit faster. So for the second year running of this event, I would have to imagine more and more teams are going to take this approach, which is kind of build what I call Daytona replicas. This is a very common thing that teams do during the day, or getting ready for the Daytona Supercross, is build a Supercross track that has like a motocross element added to it, so that they can better prepare for Daytona, which is basically a motocross track with Supercross elements. I mean, it is the roughest Supercross track of the year, deep dark dirt, big ruts, etc. So that's what they try to accomplish with these tracks. So Timor took what he had as a Birmingham replica and extended upon it to make this track, which is like a combo SMX Birmingham plus, other elements track. And honestly, this is about as perfect of like a SMX kind of replica you're probably going to get, because another thing that the Birmingham track specifically has, as you just saw a couple corners ago, is it doesn't have whoops on it. And SMX races do not have whoops. That's the whole point of it being like SuperMotocross, is that you have Supercross elements, but you don't have perhaps the gnarliest, and you have motocross elements, but you don't have perhaps the gnarliest, which would be like big downhills or massive like Laraco leap type jumps. But you still have, doubles and sand straightaways and rollers and a bunch of sections like that. It's just not, small enough to be considered a Supercross track anymore. Anyway, so yeah, Timor kind of combined the best of both worlds, made this cool SMX track, which honestly has really good flow. It's a little bit tighter than I expected it to be when I downloaded it, but I think it actually works really well because it kind of keeps everything in check a little bit. Like there's some straightaways you absolutely can really get moving on. Like the rollers, obviously the back straightaway after that double, a couple sections like that. But otherwise, it's mostly just, small, tight little national sections, and then obviously mixed together with pretty much a full Supercross track. It's basically Birmingham minus the whoops and minus the wall jump over there in front of me to the left. If you guys don't remember what Birmingham Supercross actually looked like, it was a rain race, so they cut the whoops down, and then it ended up being more or less kind of dry by the main events, but it had been raining all day, so that's why they cut the whoops down, to try to make it so that the race wouldn't look terrible. But then it would actually go over this jump here and turn left across the start straight into this corner here, and then you'd go over this wall jump and then rejoin to the left there going through turn one. So cut that part out of it and then added this other element in the back, and yeah, it's really cool. And honestly, SMX is going to happen in MX Simulator this year. It's not happening this week to my knowledge, but please bear with us. We might have announcements coming fairly soon about that. But for a lot of the guys that will be competing in it, because obviously it's going to be the top Race Factory Gaming racers, this is a pretty cool way to like kind of probably prep a little bit, do some Supercross testing, dial in the suspension again. But you're going to need to work on suspension that works a little bit with both worlds. Like I said, that's how it is in real life as well. If you just go with a straight Supercross setting, you're going to be in a world of hurt on those fast sections with the big braking bumps and stuff coming off of high-speed straightaways. Like a lot of guys said that they struggled at Chicago last year, which obviously we're going to Texas Motor Speedway this year, so not going back to Chicago. But Chicagoland, the speedway was very fast. I mean, there was a section where they were pretty much, I think, in the highest gear they possibly can be, going through a roller section and into a tight 180 U-turn all through a straightaway, and the braking bumps that were developing, the ruts and all that stuff were massive. And yeah, it kind of caught a lot of guys out because they were not prepared to have to deal with such high speeds with stiff suspension, which is very sketchy if it doesn't go 100% right. So yeah, like these guys are going to spend a lot of time this season probably dialing in those, mid-range settings where you still have some pretty stiff suspension to be able to handle like the actual rhythm section jumps for Supercross, but still a little bit more plushness, maybe a little bit of blow through on the strokes, so that when you come into some softer stuff, the first, maybe let's say third of the fork and the shock actually kind of goes through pretty smoothly, so it's not like you're hitting it really rigid, but then everything beyond that's a little bit stiffer. I don't know. I think these guys are going to probably play with a lot of different things, and yeah, I'm honestly kind of keen to hear how the suspension settings turn out for these guys this weekend, and also kind of keen to see in sim, I guess, what these guys end up doing, because everyone changes their suspension setting from Supercross to outdoors. There's a rare few that kind of run setups for both and just never change, but for the most part, everyone goes to work and actually gets an outdoor setup and an indoor setup. And now we're going to force them to kind of figure out a middle ground. I think more or less most everyone's probably just going to run a Supercross setup. I can't imagine someone's going to really go to the lengths and efforts to create like a hybrid setting. But maybe they will. I don't know. I guess we've never had this before. Like the closest we've had in sim to an SMX type of thing was the SX Madness series, which Checkers has been posting on his Instagram the last couple of days about, what that was like. And that was 2016. So we had the idea for SMX, or I should say he, because it was really all his brainchild, had the idea for SMX 7 years ago. And we ran a 5-round series. It was a ton of fun. Honestly, I don't remember who was champion of the series because every race was so unique. We had one on the Las Vegas Strip. We had some interesting stadium races. We had some ones that went in and out of the stadiums. Very, very cool concept, and definitely a lot of fun that I remember doing those races and broadcasting them. I think we did, and definitely playing them and stuff like that. So yeah, excited to see what SMX ends up looking like in sim this year. But this is a kind of maybe little preview of what to expect. And I always say this as well about, like compound type tracks or just like test tracks in general. I love when the tracks are challenging but not overbearing. And I feel like this one is right in that perfect mix where there's a lot of options on this track that you can take that are easy to do, don't really, give you the option to crash, I guess, necessarily, but still challenge you and make you actually work for it. Like this rhythm section down this back straightaway has been eating me alive. I just can't seem to get my corner speed down enough to triple in smoothly, but once you can, it's really pretty easy to go off quad right there. I just completely forgot where I was in the rhythm and tried to really pop off that tabletop, and then it's kind of fun to go over table, triple right there. Again, like I said, it just most of the sections set up very well, flowed together very well. And I think Timur just did an excellent job of making outdoor to indoor sections that flow into each other. And the outdoor sections as well, like I said, they're not too challenging. I didn't end up playing it with a road today. I probably could have, but it's nice that, even without a road, it still actually is a bit motocrossy. There's some chop. Like I like that inside rough right there. And then he's got some rough through here. I've been going outside right here, but you can check up inside, and there's a pretty big roller right there you got to hit. And this hip jump into this rhythm section is a lot of fun. You can even quad onto this table, which I think I've only done once in the video. But yeah, just a lot of really interesting sections that kind of go together pretty well, and certainly make for a track that tests you, but is easy enough to just kind of mindlessly do laps on, which is ultimately what I enjoy about some test tracks in this game. And when I would build test tracks, Supercross test tracks specifically, that would be my kind of go-to thing, is I would try to come up with concepts or ideas that were easily doable, but still actually gave you a pretty interesting challenge if you wanted to, you know, try to connect some pretty big lines together and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head with this one, no question about it, and all the credit to him for coming up with the concept and putting out the track, because there's not been a lot of mxsim track releases in the last year or so. I think the game is certainly, you know, falling to the wayside of MX bikes, and we're still going to do plenty of MX bikes content. Don't you worry, my dear people. But my heart and soul was always in sim from the beginning, because it's what I really started playing and became a pro gamer at one point. So anyway, glad to have a little bit of track walk action back. Always love breaking down these tracks, talking to you guys about it. Let me know what you guys think about this track, and let me know what are some MX bikes or MX sim tracks that you guys want to see for track walk. Happy to do enduros, freestyles, free rides, supercross, motocross, you name it, and check them out and see what the go is with them, and recommend tracks that you think I would like, and also that the general public would like as well to try out. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to download the link in the description. Give credit to the original track creator, Timor331, and appreciate you stopping by. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we see you guys in the next one. So long for now.